Welcome to the Duquesne University Coaches Show, presented by UPMC, the official healthcare provider of the Duquesne Dukes, and Mike's Beer Bar. Meet me at Mike's. It's time for the Sherwin-Williams Painting the Picture to Victory segment. Sherwin-Williams is the official paint provider of Duquesne Athletics. Duquesne turned in one of its most complete efforts of the season Saturday, blanking Mercyhurst 37-0 in a matchup of unbeaten NEC teams. The Dukes rushed for 356 yards, their most since 2018, led by Ness with 164 yards rushing and a 59-yard touchdown run in the first quarter. Tyler Rydell added a 20-yard scoring pass to Joey Isabella on the opening drive as the Dukes set the tone with a 10-play, 75-yard march into the end zone. Defensively, Duquesne held Mercyhurst to just 12 rushing yards and 118 yards of total offense to secure victory with a shutout for the sixth straight season. Avery Morris led the team with 8 tackles and returned a fumble forced by Ish Finlater 35 yards for a touchdown, while Kevin Kurzinger tallied a career-best 3 tackles for loss and 2 sacks. Matt Clark was perfect in the day, chipping in 3 field goals and 4 extra points for 13 total points. For their efforts, Davis and Morris and Clark earned NEC Offensive, Defensive, and Special Teams Player of the Week honors, while Kurzinger was named a Prime Performer. The Dukes are now 3-0 in NEC play for the 3rd straight season and have won 4 straight games heading into Saturday's road matchup with Wagner. That was the Sherwin-Williams Painting the Picture to Victory segment. Sherwin-Williams is the official paint provider of Duquesne Athletics.
Science doesn't happen in a silo. More and more, we need to have expertise from lots of different fields. And so that's one of the amazing things here at Hillman. Everyone here is committed to doing research that is going to ultimately help patients' lives. So bringing together lots of different smart minds that have a common mission is really the way that we're going to move forward.
For all your sports watching needs and great food, meet me at Mike's. Mike's Beer Bar was voted best sports bar in Pittsburgh. 300 local beers, 80 local taps, over 500 beers, and steak on a stone. Mike's Beer Bar, next to PNC Park, Federal Street, North Shore.
And welcome back to the Duquesne University Football Coaches Show. Tim Benz along with Jerry Schmitt, head coach. The Dukes brought to us by Cordia, creating energy solutions. Mike's Beer Bar on the North Shore. Meet me at Mike's. And UPMC, the official healthcare provider of Duquesne Athletics. So, Jerry, go on the road, 37-0, a victory over Mercyhurst, a performance where the ground game was absolutely dominant for your guys. What allowed you to rack up well over 300 yards in rushing against the Lakers?
Well, first of all, the game itself in general, I was so proud of our young men on our football team because of the way they played. Obviously, the score, defense to get a shutout, offense to help that because they played ball control, keeping it away from them, and then scored. But the way we played the game, the way we approached the game, with it being a night game, with all the festivities going on, with them promoting this as a huge football game for Mercyhurst football, we didn't let any of that distract us. And so our team, the way we played it with great preparation through the week and passion, very impressive for me as a head coach to coach these guys and see them put it on the field. How were we able to run the football? We've talented running backs. I think one you have on the show here.
Ness Davis coming up, 164 yards in that game.
Outstanding. So happy for him. He's a hard worker. He's continuing to get better and better in our system, being a new player to our program. He's great. He got a great personality, so positive. And so, for him to get rewarded that way, I'm really happy. And our offensive line just did an outstanding job. Great preparation for the things that they were throwing at us. And our offensive line coach, Coach Solenoff, and our run game coordinator, Coach Geisel, and our O coordinator, Coach Dory, the whole offensive staff, and add in the receivers. Last week I was watching an NFL game, and I quoted this to the team. I heard a guy talking about one of the teams having a great great run game. And he said, you can have a good run game if you got good offensive interior linemen blocking, but you have a great run game if the receivers are blocking on the perimeter. And we had a great run game on Saturday.
I thought Jermaine Johnson stood out in that regard.
Absolutely. Did a great job. We were just watching film too, and Joey was hustling like crazy, and Kai Boyd, those guys were all hustling. And I give him great credit because it was a game that was dominated on the ground, and there weren't so many opportunities to catch the ball, but they're unselfish. They said, anyway, we got to win this football game and move the football. The other impressive part of it was we were out 2 offensive line starters. And so for the younger guys to fill into those roles, the guys that have been playing backups, getting some reps through the year, was very impressive, and for our unit to work that way. And you give the tight ends too, Danny Tarabella, Noah Canty, those guys. You give them great credit.
Canty had a couple of really good blocks that I can remember. He also got him the ball a little bit too.
Absolutely. Got him some balls in the flats, and Danny's the intense guy. Like, I got to tell you, he gets everybody going. So we're happy for both of those guys, and just happy overall for the Dukes to come out with a victory.
And we'll get to the defensive part of this equation too in a little bit, but in the analytics era, whenever you want to highlight how a back is doing, you talk about yards after contact. Whenever you want to talk about how a back is being benefited by the blocking he's getting, you talk about yards before contact. You guys did it both, at least from the naked eye. Like, I don't have the analytic numbers like you can get from NFL Next Gen stats on your backs, like how many yards they got before contact. But from the minute they got the ball handed off to them to the first time they were hit, there was such an alley and such a crease in so many of those runs. When they did get hit, the yards after contact felt like they were easier to get, and the contact balance, it looked like from our vantage point, was easier to maintain because they had the head of steam going. Like, they had a lot of momentum going the first time they were hit.
So you're applying for our run game coordinator job?
Am I right on that? Like,
you're absolutely right. You're exactly right. Created great seams and holes, and then to benefit on there, Ness showed great balance and power, continuing to keep his legs running. So you combine those two, it's tough to stop, and it was on Saturday night.
What have you learned about Ness more as this season has gone along in terms of his style versus some other really effective running backs that you've had in the past? Going back to whether it was A.J. Hines or Jamario Clements or Garrett Owens, who was actually the pregame show act at Mercyhurst. I don't know if people knew that, but former Mercyhurst Laker and Duquesne Duke has now got a recording contract in Nashville and was the opening act for you guys on the walkway. But how does Ness sort of either find himself to be similar or different from some of those running backs you've had that have been very successful here in recent years?
They all have their strengths and weaknesses, and what I've seen from Ness that impressed me from what I didn't see in film and what I expected and what we didn't see in camp totally was and we knew he was a physical guy. We knew he ran hard, pads low. He was able to make the jump cuts in the line of scrimmage, but the speed that he is demonstrating once he gets in open field is very impressive, and something I wasn't fully aware of until you get in game speed. And he's shown top game speed for us. And you can talk to Coach Longo on the analytics because that's measurable also, and we track that stuff, and it was one of the highest that we've had this year in a game.
So as it relates then to the other guys who were also dotted in the run game, what'd you like from what you saw from Taj and Sean Solomon coming back too?
Well, I was really impressed because they're both banged up and working really hard to get back, and they weren't at 100%, so they were grinding out some gutty yards. And then, Taj banged it up a little bit more, and we felt it was better to hold him out. And Sean's just getting back in after a couple games off, so he was getting downhill, making some moves, really being the old Sean, just not quite 100%. So we're looking forward to another week of him rehabbing and getting better.
And when you have a game that you're fortunate to have lopsided in your favor in the second half, to have a back that you can turn to late in the game is still a quality guy like Hopkins, that had to feel good given your injury circumstances.
Really happy for D-Hop to get a lot of quality reps, some of it behind the first team line, then behind those second team guys that did a good job. We got the ball in the end zone, grinded it out again, and he made a great burst and got in the end zone. We've been bringing him along. He knows he's got to be ready, and we're looking forward to his future.
How about what you did on defense to pitch the shutout there? Let's start with the front seven and how they played.
Boy, I'll tell you what. I said preparation and passion. They were relentless. They weren't going to let those guys run the football. They did a really good job, let up a couple creases, a couple seams, maybe some third and shorts. You know, Coach Jacobs and I talked about that. He wasn't happy, and I had told him, look, they weren't easy third and shorts, and that's what you want. Our guys are pursuing to the football. Really good overall. Could talk man-to-man. The top 10 guys that were playing in that front seven, we could spend a ton of time. I just say as a group, they were outstanding.
I thought one guy we haven't talked a ton about, because I think in part we're more familiar with guys like Ackerman and Dunkley and Kevin Kurzinger, who was on the show last week. But Ish Finlater has been a really nice addition for your team, and I thought had a strong game against Mercyhurst. Made a number of big plays. There's one series where I think he impacted all 3 plays in a 3-and-out. I think he got banged up a little bit along the way, but how is he doing now for Wagner, and what did you think of his performance?
He's rehabbing, getting better here through the week, but he's had a quiet start of the season, getting acclimated, just doing his job, doing a really good job. As you said, the other names we knew about, the other names had some stats. He finally had an opportunity to get some statistics and some splash plays because he does his job every day, works really hard. Really happy for him to get, that recognition, and he deserved it. He had a great game, and we're looking forward to the future for him also.
Avery Morris, again, with another splash play.
Yeah, he's in the right place at the right time, but he does it because...
Well, actually, and Ish was the one that created that fumble, right?
He was, yeah. But he works hard at it, and he's really good in his pursuit, and he's learning Coach Jacobs' system, and they're becoming like one. The linebackers are always in Coach's office and making all the checks and calls. I got to tell you, the D-backs played a great game too.
I was going to go with the secondary next, because you've spoken many times about how good you think Arena, their quarterback, is, but you limited his options down the field, it appears.
Yeah, pressure had a lot to do with it, but when he had the time, they really run a tight passing game and route running, and our guys were on top of it. Their communication was great because they were changing things up to try to confuse their passing game. And so I really give them a ton of credit in the way they matched up with guys, broke on balls, stayed away from the penalties, which is always a tough thing for a D-back when you're getting tested.
All right, before we go, just a thought or two, if I can, from you on Wagner and what do you expect to see from the Seahawks in Staten Island?
Listen, it's always a battle up there. They've got really good players, tough, gritty players. Coach Massell is a veteran. He's going to have those guys ready. I got to tell you something. Their record, it's not. They took Central Connecticut to overtime last week and probably should have won the football game had a ball bounced a different way. They're going to be ready to play. They've got a big back, transfer from Boston College. He can run you over and he can run by you too. And they got a 1-2 punch because they get a little scat back that's really quick. We got to keep them controlled. And they do some different things. They switch up on defense and try to confuse you on the fronts. So it's a challenge. We've got to prepare all week. And as we always say, this is our biggest football game. We're going to prepare and go in that way.
Jerry, thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Best of luck out there, all right?
Thanks, Tim.
All right, Jerry Schmitt, head coach of the Duquesne Dukes, again brought to us by Cordia, creating energy solutions. We'll be back in a moment with Ness Davis. Just talked about him a bunch after a huge day against Mercyhurst. He's our guest next as we continue on the Duquesne University Football Coaches Show, presented by Mike's Beer Bar on the North Shore and UPMC Sports Medicine, the official healthcare provider of Duquesne Athletics.
At Cordia, we approach energy from a different point of view, asking what's next instead of what now, perfecting solutions long before they are needed. Our team pushes boundaries, asks tough questions, and explores every possibility. We drive innovation so the energy you rely on today paves the way to a more sustainable tomorrow. Cordia, creating energy solutions.
I was diagnosed with a very rare form of cancer and told you should seek end-of-life care. I went to UPMC, and so the very first time, I didn't get that blank stare. He said, this is what we do, saving lives like mine.
At Duquesne, it's our joy to help you discover what you're good at and why that's good for the world. We want you to become a problem solver who thinks bigger, who is driven by compassion and empathy. Together, we will work towards achieving your goals and a greater sense of purpose. We're ready with an education that's everything you need and more than you imagined. It's time for bigger goals. Duquesne University.
And welcome back to the Duquesne University Football Coaches Show. Ness Davis, brought to us by Summit Academy and the Academy Schools, inspiring hope through education and treatment. Tim Benz back with you, brought to you by Mike's Beer Bar on the North Shore. Meet me at Mike's. Also brought to you by UPMC Health Plan, the official healthcare provider of Duquesne Athletics. As promised, Ness Davis, running back for the Duquesne Dukes, joins us right now. He had such a good game against Mercyhurst that they actually gave him about 5 more yards of rushing after the final box score. We found that out before we started rolling today. 164 yards on the evening against the Lakers. Ness, what went into making that night happen for you? How good was the blocking in front of you?
Oh, the blocking was great from the O-line to the receivers. What's his name? Jermaine Johnson, OC. That's what we call him. His blocking was great. Joey's blocking was great. O-line, interior, great.
We spoke with Jerry a little bit about yards after contact and how much of a part of your game that has become, the contact balance that you've had. How have you honed that skill or sharpened that skill over your time here at Duquesne?
We're FTR in the running back room, so it's finish the run. Keep the feet moving until you can.
Is that something that you started to find that you had a knack for in high school or at Arkansas Pine Bluff? When did it really start to manifest for you that that was a good part of your game?
Yeah, really in high school, just keep your feet running and then run until the whistle's blown, basically.
What have you seen from your offensive line as this season has gone along and their improvement? I know it was a real tough challenge going against some FBS foes. You had a real good defensive team in Lehigh that came in to Duquesne from the FCS ranks as well. But as the season's gone along, how have they improved their game?
They're just getting stronger, they're getting faster. They're getting to their assignments. They're climbing the backers. They're giving everything they've got.
Jerry made a really stressful point about how the depth has risen for the offensive line, too. You've had some injuries. Gary Satterwhite's been hurt at right tackle. You lost Michael Falla at left guard. So given that, did you notice in spring ball or in training camp that there was good depth in the offensive line, and when you were running behind the guys who might be second or third on the depth chart, that there was going to be no fall off should they have to play in the regular season?
Yes, sir, most definitely. The repetition, the practice, everybody just learning their assignment, and then everything just goes smoothly.
When you were working against the defense, I know the defensive line came in with a lot of acclaim for Duquesne this year. Could you tell that there was something special there on the other side of the ball as you were working against them?
Yes, sir, most definitely. I love those guys, though, with a passion. We're always working iron sharpens iron, and we're always getting better.
Along those lines, it also seems to me that that linebacker group has come together quite well, even though there's a lot of new guys there.
Right.
There were some injuries. There were some guys left in the portal. There's some guys who graduated, but whoever came in from a linebacker perspective seems to have upheld that standard.
Right, yes, sir. Ness, Tyson, Jabari, those guys right there. Tyson, I think he's a natural leader. Like, you want to look up to Tyson. He's just always on time. He's doing what he's supposed to do. He's a great leader on the field. Jabari, he's young. He's a dog. He has a dog mentality. He's ready to make a play at any time. Who's that? Avery, he's new here, but he's fundamental. He's going to make the play. He's going to be there. He has a lot of highlight plays, but I don't think he goes out there for that. I think he's there just to be in the game.
I was going to say, does he think he's a running back with the amount of time to score here?
He could be.
He's finishing the run, too.
Yes, sir, definitely.
I wanted to ask you about the marriage between the pass game and the run game and how perhaps you guys as running backs have helped the passing game in the sense that you're winning on first down a fair amount and you're putting defenses in tough situations. Are you finding that there's a good mesh there, that what you guys are doing as running backs is dovetailing to help set up Tyler Rydell in the pass game?
Oh, yes, sir. Most definitely. I love talking to Tyler. We have great communication back there because we run a lot of RPO. So he'll tell me, like, you might get this one, but the next one he's going to tell me, like, I'm about to throw this one. So the defense, we'll run the ball. Then we'll pop them over the top with Joey. And then we'll just be great.
You're in the midst of NEC play. You got a lot of games at home in a row, and then you go and play Mercyhurst on the road in a primetime environment for them. They made it into a real big deal, and you shut them out and did so quite effectively. Now you got 2 more games on the road going back-to-back to New York. Fortunately, you got a bye in between. That'll certainly help. But how have you found that the team has maintained its focus through what was a very difficult pre-conference schedule and now early in this conference season without much of a break?
Well, we really just take it week by week. We never go like weeks ahead. We never think about what's going on next week or the week before that. We get there that week and we're focused on that week only.
How much did that pay off for Mercyhurst specifically in your singular week of preparation going up against the Lakers?
A lot, because we worried about, people were talking about Wagner, but we can't worry about them at the moment. We have to worry about, Mercyhurst and the Lakers. So they were telling us they want to be a rival game and things like that. Well, this really just put a fire on our butt. They just want us to get after it.
Yeah, you could tell that, especially with the way the team came out fast. And that actually has been a little bit of a change here offensively. I think the defense at some point, kind of in late September, a couple of those games, the defense kind of helped you guys get in gear, kept games close, kept games low scoring until you guys popped in the second quarter. And then you saw the offense, even starting with Lehigh, a game you didn't win, but that had that nature where the offense started to get going, and against a good defensive team, you made them sweat certainly in the second half.
Yes, sir. Really, that explosiveness comes from like Coach Schmitt. He tells us in the locker room, we're about to go out, we're going to start fast right now. We're going to start fast for the rest of the game. And I think we've just been taking that mindset and applying it on the field.
Lastly, you mentioned Wagner. You got them now this week. What do you expect to see from the Seahawks this weekend?
I've watched a little film. They've got some different fronts. They like to be mixed. They like to mix it up a little bit. And they said it's going to be cold.
All right, Ness, thanks a bunch. Really appreciate it. Congratulations on your success this year. It's been great watching the run game come together, you in particular. Best of luck on the road in Staten Island, all right?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, Ness Davis has been our guest here on the UPMC Mike's Beer Bar Coaches Show on SportsNet Pittsburgh, again brought to us by Summit Academy and the Academy Schools. Plenty more when we return here on SportsNet Pittsburgh.
Introducing Budweiser Zero. 0% alcohol, 0 grams of sugar, full Budweiser flavor. For all the moments you want a beer and need to stay on your game. Budweiser Zero, 0 compromise.
As Western Pennsylvania's largest regional public accounting firm with local ownership and management, Schneider Downs gives you the global ideas your company needs right here at home. Schneider Downs, big thinking, personal focus.
The reason we do this is to change the lives of patients for the better. Pancreatic cancer has a reputation for being a tough cancer to deal with. If you can add mileage to someone's life, the ability for patients to live longer, enjoy time with their family, witness a wedding of a daughter or a son, that's really what we're aiming for.
It's time to look behind the numbers, courtesy of the accounting and consulting firm Schneider Downs. Find out how big thinking with a personal focus can help your organization. The Dukes have continued to shine on offense in 2025, topping 400 yards of total offense for the third time this season and posting a season-high 356 rushing yards in the 37-0 win at Mercyhurst. Duquesne has controlled the clock with long, efficient drives, including 3 scoring drives that lasted more than 6 minutes and 10 plays last week. Through 3 NEC games, the Dukes have outscored league opponents 123-21 and outscored teams 167-39 during a 4-game win streak. Tyler Rydell is now third in the FCS with 19 passing touchdowns, while Joey Isabella's 9 receiving scores are tied for the national lead in the FCS. Running back Ness Davis recorded his 3rd 100-yard game of the season and now ranks 3rd in the NEC with a team leading 538 rushing yards. Defensively, the Dukes have totaled 10 sacks and 23 tackles for loss over the first 3 conference games. Last week, the Dukes recorded a season-high 9 pass breakups and held Mercyhurst to just 118 total yards, including a 35-yard fumble recovery scoop and score by Avery Morris, his 2nd defensive touchdown of the year, and the 2nd defensive score for the Dukes. The Dukes have now scored on takeaways in 7 of 8 games this season. That was a look behind the numbers, courtesy of the accounting and consulting firm Schneider Downs. Find out how big thinking with a personal focus can help your organization. On Saturday, October the 25th, the Duquesne Dukes travel to Staten Island for a noon kickoff against Wagner. The game will be broadcast on ESPN Plus and SportsNet Pittsburgh with radio coverage on Fox Sports Pittsburgh. For more game day information, visit GoDuquesne.com. This Road Ahead segment is brought to you by Dean Honda. Dean Honda, visit them on Route 51 in Pleasant Hills or at DeanHonda.com.